I'd like to expand on something yesterday, actually make a correction. I made a video yesterday titled Intelligent Design, addressing the argument of intelligent design for the existence of God. Really, the argument that I was attempting to make was against the position of atheism. And the whole purpose of that video, though, the reason I did that video was I received an email, a beautiful email, from someone whose name I will keep secret, but I hope they won't mind if I'll indulge just to share a little of her story, which was a very touching story, and I've been thinking about ever since. It was the reason I made the video that I did. I'd like to make a new video to specifically address the point that she made in her message. In her message, she described a period of her life where she basically became a recluse from society to a degree, secluded herself away in a remote part of North America, in an area of islands, becoming a harvester of the sea, going from a series of beaches in a very remote area on islands, in a beautiful area, living in a tent, going from beach to beach, harvesting the produce of the sea. I think it was clams, and then bringing those back and exchanging those for the goods she needed. The only contact she had with people was the person that bought the clams from her, and occasionally at the grocery store when she had to pick up supplies. And that went on for 3.5 years. She had a very moving experience, becoming very close with nature. Later, after this stage of her life, she went on to further make her living from the sea with two men. And she recounted how at one point they all had a close connection with nature, and at one point they had gone to a very secluded cove. And some of the places in this area are so secluded that you wonder sometimes if any human had ever been there. And this was such an area where she and her fellows wondered if anyone had ever been there at all. And while they were exploring on the beach there, in a tree, they discovered a spike driven into the tree. I hope I'm expressing the story accurately the way that she related it. I'm probably getting some details wrong. But there was a spike in the tree. And that discovery of the spike to all three of them had a very striking effect. It made them realize that someone else had been here. Someone else had been in this lonesome beach far away where they had previously wondered if any human had ever been at all. And that startling thought led to a still more startling revelation, or thought, or maybe revelation is the appropriate word as she described the feeling. And that was that the tree itself, that this stake was evidence of someone's past presence, but that she began to wonder if the tree itself was evidence of past presence as well, or maybe continued presence. That presence being, of course, the presence of a creator. And this is what this significant event in her life is what basically led her back to a spiritual state, a connection with a creator. Very beautiful, moving story. I mean, I'm sure I'll remember this story to the end of my days. It's very touching. I have a lot of empathy with that type of life, that type of living, the desire for that type of connection with nature, and for the spiritual experience that occurred there. I would like nothing more in my own life than to have something like that as well. So I made the response yesterday. In the message that I got from this person, she used the word intelligent design, and that was the thing that keyed off the response video on intelligent design. But I was thinking about it today, now as I was walking to get my lunch, thinking about further, and realizing now that the response video, intelligent design, really doesn't respond well to the question that she didn't pose a question to me. She simply offered an example. That's all it was. An example of her own discovery of God. And it wasn't a question, and it wasn't an argument. It wasn't anything at all other than and I don't mean to say anything at all as if it was something insignificant. It was very significant. But it was indeed an expression of her own faith and her own discovery in it. And I tried now as I was walking. I was trying to figure out, since I realized it wasn't intelligent design she was talking about, because intelligent design would be saying that this tree, the evidence of the tree itself is a complex organism, or complex anything, is evidence that somebody had to be there to create that complexity. That wasn't what she was saying. She was saying that simply the very presence of the tree alone similar, analogous to the presence of the stake in the tree, was evidence of placement. Evidence that someone had, maybe you could boil it down, I will try to refine it down to a simple statement. You could simply say that a tree is evidence of a planter. Trees are planted. That's an even more simpler approach. Trees must be planted. Trees are planted, or that tree was planted, or trees. I think trees are planted is the most rarefied version of the sentiment that she was expressing. That trees, the evidence of a tree alone indicates the existence of a planter. So how? So now, a beautiful story, and a very interesting observation that comes away with it. And now I'm at that point. I'm finished with dealing with that particular message that I received, because the message didn't ask for a response from me in terms of necessary. No, she did kind of ask for my opinion, but it's not a response in terms of trying to disprove or discredit what she said. This is my response in terms of the boiling it down to that one simple sentence: trees are planted. To say trees are planted, and then to indicate then that God exists to provide that planting, is, I believe, in keeping with my stance as an atheist. Because let me express to you how I express my version of atheism. My version of atheism is, and I think you can have different versions of it. It's simply atheism alone simply means without God. You can be without God in different manners. And my version of atheism is that without faith, God does not exist. Without faith, God does not exist. And I don't repeat it to try and elaborate my own words. I simply repeat it so that the meaning is clear. Without faith, God does not exist. The expression then that a tree requires a planter, trees are planted, is an expression of faith. Because since we do not know God in this world, in the tactile, real, observable sense. I mean, we can know God. Many people claim that we can know God in our hearts, but since we cannot see God planting the tree, we have to believe that happened, and that was the key point for this person, was that they believed that the tree was planted, and belief in what you cannot see or otherwise apprehend is that's faith. I almost wanted to say I'm struggling not to say by definition, because I don't want to go on record as defining faith yet. Although I'll probably get to that. But it is to me as close a thing to faith as anything I can imagine. So her statement is in alignment with my beliefs as well. Her belief is in alignment with my belief that God exists where faith exists. That God does not exist where faith is not found. And that she has the faith to believe that trees are planted indicates that she has found God. I hope that clarifies things. A beautiful story from a person who is a kindred spirit in many ways, and it was my own experience in life, although we have reached separate conclusions in terms of life. It's time for me to sign off for now and have my lunch. If you guys are curious about my lunch, my last healthy lunch before I go back to the States, this is a tofu curd. I mean, I can get healthy lunches in the States, but it's much more fun to eat junk food. Here's pickled cucumbers, and I have, I just went over the edge with the other stuff, sushi, so to speak, and I top it all off with oyocha. This tea is very famous in Japan, oyocha, and it refers to how men in old Japan would call for tea from their room where they'd be sitting and reading the paper. They want tea. They oyocha. Oi being the word that they use to call their wife. Women call their husbands, wives call their husbands anata, you, and men call their wives oi, hey. So I'm having some oyocha and a dinner and a lunch. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you, my friend, for sharing your wonderful story with me. I'm glad I could share it with others. I hope you don't mind that I did so.